Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the HerStory Online Summit. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And the HerStory Online Summit is a platform that brings you the extraordinary tales of everyday women who are changing the world. To begin with, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. I would like to pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and extend that respect to all First Nations people who are joining us from around the world. As you know, this summit has been going for the last 11 days. We have had 10 speakers every single day, and we extended it for one more day because of a very, very special speaker who I just really wanted to make sure she got to tell her story. So we dived into the lives, the challenges, the triumphs of remarkable women. These were stories of courage, resilience, creativity, and leadership. Stories that remind us that when women rise, communities rise with them. This summit is more than just a series of talks. It's a global circle, a space for inspiration, connection, and transformation. And together, we share knowledge, ignite conversations, and plant seeds of change. So I invite you to grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and open your hearts and allow yourself to be inspired by the incredible journeys of women who are changing the world through their stories. Her Story is a place for you to learn, to be inspired, and to connect. With that, I would like to introduce our last and final speaker for the Her Story Summit 2025. Wow. When I read this young woman's bio, I knew that I was meeting someone really special. Dr. Ottomans is an award-winning neuroscientist, a psychologist, and one of the UK's leading voices in AI and education technology. As the co-founder and chairperson of the Ottomans Institute, she's helped pioneer the world's first independent AI teacher, OIAI, with a bold mission of upskilling 750 million underprivileged learners globally by 2030. She's recognized as one of the 22 most influential women in the UK by Startup Magazine. She's been honored by the UK Prime Minister for her global impact, and she stands at the intersection of science, innovation, and social change. Her work is reshaping access to quality education and inspiring a new generation of women in tech. Thank you so much for being with us today. Like I said, when I first saw your work, I knew you were somebody we just had to have on our platform. The stage is yours.
Thank you so much for that lovely introduction, and I'm very happy to be here. So my name is Dr. Paul de Ottomans. I am based in London, UK, but originally I'm from the Netherlands, which you may have guessed from my accent or from my name. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about my journey and the challenges that I faced, and hopefully that inspires you to also take up any opportunity and really go live your own dream. So I moved to the UK, well, many years ago now, to do a PhD in cognitive neuroscience. That's what brought me to this country. I always was fascinated by learning, by memory, by education. And I've done a variety of roles to see how I could always help other people when it comes to their education journey. Now, as a one person, you can only do so much. So after university, I traveled with some friends. One of them became my co-founder across South Asia, teaching pro bono. And what we saw there was that one of the things that really sparked our interest further is that we walked into lots of classrooms. There were 50, 60, maybe 70, sometimes 100 students, but there were not enough real resources. There was often only one teacher that was supporting all those learners with their variety of needs. Some learners were learning faster, some learners were learning slower, some required visuals, some did it, etc. And we really found this deep skills gap there when we were observing this across 1,300 kilometers of research that we did, talking to the learners or the students, talking to the teachers, talking to administrators, talking to policymakers and people in government. People are very hungry to learn, both from the student perspective, but also from the teachers or the people that were giving the support. But there was a big gap in employability and transferable skills. Often it was all about rote learning. This is the curriculum, this is the content we need to do, and this is what you need to learn. But we all know when it comes to the world of work, things are quite different, right? No one is asking you to memorize and regurgitate content. Employers want you to apply that content. And what we saw is that many people finished their degree or college, but then couldn't get a job. Unemployment rates were super high. We said, what can we do to change this? What can we do to support? And this was really sort of the spark moment of Otomas Institute, which we then co-founded in 2020. And our mission was to upskill underserved and marginalized learners through digital learning. Because what we've seen is that they were very good at their subject, but people were not able to communicate or present themselves or go through an interview or even write their CV. So in just this first year in 2020, we scaled to 9 countries. We work with refugee camps, underserved communities, those that are in the NEET category, as they call it in the UK, so those that are not in education, employment, or training, and really try to upskill them to give them the transferable skill sets that they needed in order to succeed, whatever it is that they may want to do. But here came our first challenge. There were not enough teachers to meet the global demand. We already reached over 30,000 learners, but there were not enough teachers. And that comes back to one of the first things I said. The classrooms were often very big, and there was one person to support. When we scaled, we even got volunteers because remember, this was that dreadful COVID time where everybody was locked up at home. And even got students from university saying, can I support? Can I give back? And of course, we took them on board, but still, we didn't have enough teachers. That was our first bottleneck. When we did even more research, we found out at that time, the number may have slightly changed now, there is a shortage of 65 million teachers across the world. So of course, we were in that same bottleneck. And it was quite a difficult challenge because you have this view, these learners, they're all hungry to learn. The educators also want to upskill themselves, but there is not enough humans to give that support. And this is where AI entered my journey. Not sort of as a buzzword, but actually that became then the lifeline. So what we did, and remember, this is end of 2020. AI tools were not out there as we have them now, right? We can all go to any AI tool online and work with it if we have the right connectivity, of course, and the right device. But at the time, that didn't exist. And now in hindsight, we laugh about it. We had to write lots and lots of lines of code and data. And of course, now that's funny. At the time, it was quite a difficult task. But we took on that challenge and we embraced it. We were very resilient because we thought, what is as close as possible almost to human intelligence that we can use to still being able to serve all these learners? AI was the answer. So I would like to introduce you Beatrice, who was our first digital human teacher, completely powered by AI, who was launched in early 2021. So remember, this is 18 months before the world came known to ChatGPT in November 2022. And Beatrice was deployed in a UNHCR refugee camp. And this is where we saw that AI could indeed expand access where human teachers couldn't reach. Our first learner, her name was Aisha, and I will never forget this. Me and my co-founder were looking at them through a webcam so we could see the learner sitting in the room in the camp where they had received, a device from the camp leaders. And they were looking at the phone and trying to figure out how to use the app. And there was 16 minutes of silence. Well, very, very long 16 minutes, believe me. But then finally, Aisha looked at the screen, talked to the screen, and then looked up at us through the webcam and says, "She speaks to me." She, because of course, Beatrice was a female teacher too. And that's where we saw the impact that this could make. Now, if we fast forward to where we are now, we have version 3, version 3 of AI teachers. And it's not just a teacher, it's an entire dashboard is in market, serving learners globally. We've already served learners in 17 countries. And at our core focus is really serving those marginalized and underserved communities. And one of the things that is actually quite crucial here is that AI tools, what we have seen, and I think everybody will agree with me, is that with the rise of AI, the digital divide has only expanded. Because it costs a lot of money often to be able to use an AI tool. The free ones are not always suited for purpose, and you need to have constant internet access. If you don't have internet, you cannot use the AI tool to create your visuals, to summarize something for you, to do research. So a few months ago, and this is already earlier this year, which was led by my co-founder, Dave, our tech team got a breakthrough because now we were able to run our AI offline. Yes, I said it right, offline. What does that mean? It means that, yes, you need the internet to download the application, but then you can continue learning with the AI, talk to the AI, ask your questions, delve deeper without being connected to the internet. Now, what does this mean for us? We can reach even more people, really, the real last mile, those that where internet has not even reached yet properly, or the internet is so expensive that people can't afford to buy the data packages to have constant internet. So they may only use it to do their digital payments, and that's about it. But now even those people can learn whether they want to upskill themselves in their job, whether they want to learn outside the classroom because they're afraid to raise their hand in class and ask the questions. It doesn't matter. They can learn anything, anywhere, anytime. And that has brought us to where we are now, which is the continent of Africa. I may wonder, where does Africa come into this story? Well, Africa has the lowest AI literacy globally. I myself, I went to Kenya, I gave a keynote at the university there, and that led us to do many relationships with many different partners, including UNESCO and the UN. But the key point here is that at that same time that I was there, which was roughly around the end of April, beginning of May 2025, in Kigali, the 54 nations of Africa came together and signed the Africa Declaration on Artificial Intelligence with a goal to upscale or to have 15% of the African population AI literate by the end of 2026. That's a big number. That's a lot of people, without really having a process or a system in place on how to get there. So we said, what can we do to support this? Because we know it has the lowest AI literacy globally as a continent. And earlier this year, an MIT report came out that only 4% of the data that is used to train frontier AI models comes from Africa. So it's the Wikipedia problem all over again. So we started with Kenya, a campaign to upskill 25,000 of their young learners, the youth from marginalized and underserved communities, in AI literacy in 1 month, using the UNESCO's framework on AI literacy. UNESCO has 2 frameworks. One is for teachers or educators, and one is for students. So we used that framework by working with them as a partner and created a 9-lesson program delivered by our AI teachers who are localized. So they look like a Kenyan, they dress like Kenyan, speaking like Kenyans. So it's localized and contextualized to the place that we are. And they are now serving those 25,000 learners. But what happened here? And I think there's a very important point to make. not just for our success story, but what you can take out of this. Our goal was 25,000 learners enlisted in 1 month and serve them and make them all AI literate. When we had set up our registration period, at the end of the 4 weeks, we already more than doubled our numbers. We had 65,000 people enlisted. And what is important here is partnerships. We didn't do this alone. We did this through partners. We're working with NGOs, CBOs, and other charitable organizations, as well as some TVET colleges that have access to those learners. And it's working through them that we're able to serve those thousands and thousands of people. And now, if we look at sort of 9 weeks in, we already crossed 181,000 people in just a matter of weeks. So my message here is anything is possible. Be open and invite other people to join you on your mission. And that's what we did. And now we're working with more than 26 organizations to make this a reality, to make people AI literate in a country where it's not. And of course, this led us now to expand to other countries in Africa, with the government of Sao Tome inviting us to upskill 10% of their population. We already have early talks in other countries like Nigeria as well. But what is important here again, it is that now AI can help us really bridge that digital divide and reduce it as much as possible to give access to those that previously didn't, because many of our learners do not even use Google regularly. So my key message is this is not just about technology. It's about creating opportunity where none existed before. And I hope that you will take away from this talk many things, but for me the most important thing is take up any opportunity that comes or create them. If there's none on your path yet, create these opportunities. Work in partnerships. It's very difficult to do things all alone, but there is many people that want to join you on your journey if you're willing to work together. And thirdly, for those of you that are still a bit scared about AI, you cannot break it. Just start and see where it gets to you. I look forward to hearing also from you guys, and please free to be in touch with me. I'm always happy to have a one-to-one chat as well.
Wow. I'm telling you, your presentation is absolute music to my ears, Dr. Ottoman. I'm from Zimbabwe, like I said earlier, and I've seen the power of technology. When we talk about Africa having its billion plus people, with 60% of our population under the age of 30, the potential is so huge in terms of what Africa as a continent could become if knowledge, information, education is transmitted using the power of AI. So let's unpack your journey with a few questions. I have so many questions for you. When the little girl said, "She speaks to me," how did that single sentence from a refugee learner reshape your understanding of AI's potential in education?
It showed us that everything is possible and that using AI in education at places where human teachers cannot reach, or where the human teachers cannot give the hundreds of learners in their classroom the attention that they need because there's only one of them, AI can help solve that gap and make sure that anyone has access to quality. And this is an important word, I think, quality education, no matter where they are, what they want to learn, and how they want to learn. So for us, it was sort of this light bulb moment that, yes, let's go.
And you mentioned that AI became a lifeline, not a trend. How did you resist the hype and the build something truly transformational before it was mainstream?
Yes, I think it came through being creative, trying to find solutions that were not existing yet, and really thinking outside of the box. And only, I think, sort of, in 2022, when everybody got to know ChatGPT, AI really became a buzzword.
Yeah.
And not in everything we do. Yes, we are an AI organization. We have AI teachers in AI first analytics platform. So one can also see how is everyone learning, what are they doing, what sort of questions are they asking, what are they struggling with. And yes, that's all, of course, AI generated, because no one can analyze thousands and thousands of data by hand. But
Yeah.
also, I think it's important to sometimes take a step back and ask, do I need AI for this? Because what we see is that many people just jump on the AI and try to use it for everything. No, there is a
Right.
place for AI, and there is a place for purely, human thinking, creativity, and working
Yeah,
together with other people.
I love that. Now, running AI offline, that is groundbreaking. I didn't even know that that was possible. Did you believe this is the key to bridging the global digital divide?
Yes, I think what we have seen, and I've not, of course, entered the entire continent of Africa, but what we have seen
Mm,
from our visits, from the conversations that we've had with our local partners on the ground, is that many households at least have one phone or one
yeah.
tablet.
Yes.
Now, of course, we would love everyone to have a device, and we'll get
Mm,
there. The hardware, the hardware exists. It's about the funding, getting everybody the
yes.
device. But every household at least has one. So that means every household, no matter how many people are in that household, can learn, because, of course,
Yes.
everybody can have their own login details. So through this, and then being able to do this offline, I think it's groundbreaking. It makes people seeing also that there are other opportunities for them. And I think at the
Mhm.
moment, that's for a lot of people, they're very difficult to imagine a different world, because they cannot go to school. The school is too far away. The school costs too much money, or the other 1 million reasons that they have, because this is not the only ones. And I think this gives them an opportunity to learn anytime, anywhere, whatever it is that they want, to go to that next step. Whether it is
Yeah.
being able to go into a TVET college, whether it's being able to upskill themselves and get into a higher position in the job they already have, or
Yes.
actually opening up their world to something they always wanted to do, but never had, well, we always say, I don't have time or money for it. That has now become
Mhm.
possible.
I love it. Now, how did your journey from a cognitive neuroscience labs in the UK to classrooms in refugee camps redefine your understanding of education equity?
That's a very interesting question. I believe my background in neuroscience and psychology gives me, and still does as of today, because this is not a something that stops. It always,
Yeah.
you always continue learning, and lifelong learning is something that I truly believe in. I believe my background has given me a very deep understanding about how people learn, what motivates people to learn, and also why so many of the traditional learning systems fail.
Well, yeah.
And I using that perspective has then guided me into AI, to use the technology, you know almost for the greater good, to create
Mm,
learning experiences that adapt to human cognition, and not the other way around. So we're
yes.
using the AI as a positive to add to our experience, to make learning possible, and we don't let AI dictate what we do.
So I'm curious, is it truly possible to scale empathy and cultural nuance through AI? And how did you approach localizing Beatrice to feel Kenyan and not colonial?
That is actually key to what we do. I wouldn't say necessarily AI can already show empathy as humans can do. I think
Mm,
we're not there yet.
yeah,
We
yeah,
as an organization, but just generally the world, and the global world of AI. But two things here that show AI's capacity and possibilities in learning. We have
yeah.
seen over 95% course completion rates. That is
Crazy.
magnificent.
Yeah.
Industry norms are 7 to 14% when you're looking at online learning platforms, global platforms
Yes.
that we can access if you have internet. Now, why? Because we very carefully design the way the AI interacts with the learners. Human
Yeah.
cognition is at the heart of this. We have done a lot of human-centered design. We've done a lot of focus groups, talking to users, talking to potential partners, to ensure that the AI is fit for purpose and not just an AI. Now, have we
Okay.
cracked empathy completely? No. But having,
Mm,
95% course completion rates, having seen that learners ask on average 4 questions to the AI per lesson, shows that there is that well, at least connection when it comes to learning and wanting to know more. So I think that's sort of the first part. The other part, which is truly, truly important, is localization and contextualization. You
Yeah.
cannot give someone in the UK a teacher that doesn't represent where they are, how they learn. Or in Kenya, you cannot give them a UK teacher. It doesn't match. Right.
No.
So whenever we work, we step into a new country or a new region, because some countries, of course, they're very big and there are differences within different regions, within different countries. We work with our local partners to ensure that the avatar, because in the end they are avatars, right? Human-like
Yeah.
avatars are, well, they're human-like, but they're also a bit cartoon-like, because people also find real human avatars a bit scary, which I can totally understand.
Yeah.
Um, we're not cloning someone here.
No.
But again, working with the local partners, and sometimes it's very subtle things like wearing a particular bracelet or wearing
Yeah.
particular, clothes. The learners
Yeah.
can, by the way, also swap those accessories to, make it feel more what they would like
Yeah.
to do. Skin
Okay.
color, the name of the avatar. So, for instance, one of the African avatars is called Zendaya. One of the other one is called Selma. Names that are more familiar with the people that are there. So there are a lot of different things that we do. Can we do more? Probably we can. So
Mm.
languages is something we are expanding on. We're very keen to get Kiswahili in this year, because of course that is one of the main languages, particularly in Kenya, but in a lot of
Yeah.
African countries. So that's important. But again, we can't do this alone. Hence, again, we're working with our partners there to make this a reality, because in the end, it helps the learners. It helps them better learn if they can do a bit of English and Swahili combined, right? Because that's
Yeah.
actually how people, talk there, how they communicate with one another. The languages are all mixing up a little bit. So it's definitely
Yeah.
something we are looking forward to embedding within our systems too.
Now, in those 16 minutes before Aisha spoke, what was going through your mind? And how do you now design for that hesitation in first time users?
Many questions came in our mind. Do they
Mm,
understand? Is the app not loading? What is going on? Are they pressing the buttons? Did the phone
yes.
die? Is there no more battery? Loads of questions came into our minds, and we were
Right.
together at that time looking at this camera. But we just thought, let's just keep quiet. Once in a while, we put a message in a Zoom. We're still here. If you need us, let us know. But we really
Right.
didn't want to give them instructions. We didn't want to
Yeah.
guide them, because
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
end, what is key is that they're able to do this by themselves.
They figure it out.
And they did. Of course,
Oh,
what we learned from that is, how can we even further simplify the design? How can we make
yes.
it as intuitive and simple as possible? Of course, you can add how-to guides and things like that, which of course now
Um,
they are there. But at that moment, we just thought, okay, what are they missing? And it may just be a color of a button, maybe where
mhm.
the button is placed. So we learned a
Yes.
lot of these small nuances within the design of the system that seemed very small, but they were trivial. So that is, and we still do. It's not something, again, it's not something you do once and then you stop. Every
No,
time you work with new
you can
communities, you have
swear.
to redo this. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So, how do you design for learners who may not even regularly use Google, let alone understanding prompts and interfaces?
Yeah, that is always going to be a challenge, I think.
Mm,
Well, soon, hopefully, everybody will be accessing digital tools, but
mm,
that might still be a few years away. So it's about the simplicity in the design, the intuitiveness of it. So having a
mhm.
button that you say, start your learning. Okay,
Yeah,
click start. Everybody can, see start, which means it's
yeah,
the point of the journey. It is the ability to ask your questions as well. You can type, you can, it's actually voice first. That's how it's designed, because we know people use voice. So even
yeah.
if someone is not that literate in terms of reading and writing, they can just talk to the AI and the AI will respond. So if they
Okay.
don't know how something works, they can even ask the AI, what do I do next? And the AI can
Yes.
also help them. So, all of these things have come in. And of course, then there are visuals that you can also click on that guide you through. But that
Yeah.
again, that depends on how literate you are. And some people may not be that literate in terms of reading and writing.
Right. So, what does it mean to lead the charge towards AI literacy in the very continent contributing only 4% of global training data?
for me, it's a fascinating and it's an exciting journey. Particularly everyone who I've spoken to or spoken with in the last, let's say, since April till now, everybody is super enthusiastic. Everybody really wants to work together. And again, for us, that's a key thing. We thrive on partnerships. That's what we do.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing to see so many people jumping on the journey together and the amount of differences that we can do together, the impact we can make. It's just
Yeah.
fascinating. And every time I just keep getting surprised by the willingness of people to do stuff that is for, for good. It's,
Yeah.
it's not a profit driven initiative. It is purely to help people learn, help them achieve their dreams, make
Yeah.
things possible that seem impossible.
So, what keeps you up at night when you're pushing a moonshot like upskilling 750 million people? What fears, ethical dilemmas, or doubts whisper at night?
Um, Sometimes there are many, sometimes there are none. If I have a lovely night of sleep, um, but I think one of the challenges that is still there is breaking the myth that AI is the same as ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And that's something we've seen over and over again when you ask people, so what do you think is AI? And there are either two answers, sort of, if you summarize them. One is, I
Mm.
don't know. I don't, it's some
Mhm.
technology, I don't really know. Or the other one is ChatGPT. And
Yes.
trying to break that myth that AI is so much more than that
Yeah.
sometimes keeps me awake on how can we do this? How can we make it possible that people understand that it's so much more than that, and that it's
Mm.
important that they now, particularly now at this moment in time, become AI literate, even if it's only the beginning, sort of a beginner's course, but that they understand where AI comes from, what it
Yeah.
does, how they can use in their personal life, in their professional life, because it
Yeah.
will be something that we all will have to adapt and work with in parallel.
Sooner or later. That's so true. Now let's look at Beatrice versus ChatGTP. Beatrice was launched 18 months before ChatGTP. How do you see your AI's teacher's purpose as different from the general purpose chatbots?
Well, one of the words is already in the question. It's not a general purpose chatbot, of course. So that is the easiest answer, I guess. But no, there are more. There is more to this. So we often actually get asked, so what do you do that ChatGPT can't? Right? That's a
Mm-hmm.
question we often get asked by people, and the
Yeah.
answer is actually fourfold. One is we are designed for education. So it's a teaching and learning. It's not the general tool, right? If you ask our AI, can you write this poem for me? No. Can you answer my essay? No. Right? It's about learning. So it's about you in a two-way conversation, learning, delving deeper, or just clarifying because sometimes, you're not there at that level yet. So
Yeah.
that's the first part. The second part is data analytics. If you
Mm-hmm.
were to give all your learners or your employees ChatGPT, you would have no clue what it is that they're doing. They may be using it a lot, and you have to pay
Yes.
$20 for all of them per person a
Mhm.
month, but you have no clue what they're doing. We
Yeah.
provide extensive data analytics in an easy format. As I mentioned, AI generated reports in the way you would like to see, how many joined, what questions have they been asking. This can be tailored to the organization. So you actually know what the people are learning. So that's the second
Mhm.
point, which we often don't know. Even if you give people homework in a school, you don't really know what are they
Right.
struggling with, right? Um,
Sure.
and the third part is, well, we can run offline. ChatGPT
Yeah.
doesn't. So it's not accessible as such. And of course, it's very
Mhm.
costly.
Yes. Yeah, data is very expensive in Africa.
Yes.
So, would you let AI raise a child? As someone who created an AI teacher, how far would you go in trusting AI to educate and guide the next generation?
That's an interesting question. And I think AI is not here, well, from at least from our perspective, AI
Hmm.
is not here to replace the human teachers. And that's
Right.
something that I think is really important to note because sometimes people say, oh, well, you're just going to take my job away. No,
Yeah.
that's not what we're here to do. We're here to support learning outside the classroom. people that cannot access education, or people that just want to learn something different, but they may not have the time or resources to join a particular school, college, university, and they still want to learn. So
Okay.
that's sort of the first part. The other part of this is, if we're looking at a different product that we also have that's for younger learners, it's called Teddy AI. The
Mm-hmm.
parents can be involved. I would not
Right.
probably necessarily let an AI teach. I don't have children, but my child, if I would have them. But can AI play a role? Definitely. Can
Mm.
I, as the parent, be involved? Yes. Because at the moment, what do you get as a parent? You have teacher meetings, the school teacher
Mhm.
parent meetings or
Yeah.
evenings. You might go there if you're able to go as a parent, because some parents may be very busy and it's not
Yeah.
possible to go to the school. And you get report cards once
Yeah.
every so often with just a grade and some comments on it. So you
Mm.
don't really actually know what your child is going through, particularly in those early years of development. You may
Yeah.
ask them, but you not really know. And some people may not have the time to sit with the homework of the child. Some people
Mm.
may not know how to help their children, again,
Yeah.
depending on their own backgrounds. So you also can see that AI can help bridge that gap between parents, educators, and the children. So the AI
Right.
can teach the child something, picking up from the classroom earlier, make sure the
Yeah.
child can go through that with their homework. The child can asking questions, delve deeper. And remember, a lot of children, well, a lot of adults really, don't raise that hand in the classroom and say,
Yeah.
I have a question. With AI,
No.
it's a safe space, right? It's not judgmental. It's not going to judge you if you ask the same question 10 times. It just tries to help you understand that concept. And then the parent can be in the loop too. So the parent can also ask the AI to teach the child things they are very keen on, things to do
Right.
with their tradition, with their culture, with their family values, or even, I don't know, the kid is struggling to brush their teeth at night, and the parent is a bit tired of every night explaining why it is important to brush their teeth. Can the
Right.
AI do this in a gamified way? Yes, of course. Can the parent then know what the child did? Yes, even the parent can get reports or visuals or just a message. Today, your child learned these 4 new words, table, chair, I don't know, television, and cookie. And you may then use it as a parent when you talk to a child. So
Mm.
I believe
And also
education.
the analytics side of things, you can see where the gaps in the knowledge for your child are and where you can put more emphasis because you're gathering that data and you can present it to the parents.
Exactly. And to the
Oh,
school. So everyone is involved.
yes. Yeah. It's so intriguing. Now, let's talk about data colonization in education AI.
Mhm.
With only 4% of training data coming from Africa, do you see OIAI as a decolonizing tool for AI? And what does data justice look like to you?
So the answer is sort of yes and no in one.
Mm.
We are not training on the data of the learners. So that's very important. We're not here to
Mm.
build a new model. That's not our purpose. Our purpose is to ensure
Okay.
that everyone can upskill themselves to make sure that dreams can come true.
Right.
But can we use the data to further to optimize the way the AI talks to them? Yes, because people talk differently in different continents. So yes, and that's we need to use that because their experience will be better, the AI will be better understand them. So in that
Yeah.
way, yes, we can add to that better understanding of the data and use it to optimize the experience. So that's why it's a bit of a yes and no answer. Um,
Yeah.
but I believe it can really make a difference, and it can also almost flip the script. And you had mentioned before as well, Africa as a continent has the youngest population in the world, which is only growing. So can we flip this whole thing upside down and make it the continent with the highest AI literacy
Yeah.
and
I
really push them
I
forward?
think it's possible. Yeah. This technology, I think it is. Now, you've seen the gap after walking, what did you say, 1,300 kilometers across Southeast Asia's studying classrooms. What image or moment sticks with you as a symbol of the world's education crisis?
Packed classrooms,
Hmm.
but not enough support in terms of the
Yeah.
educators. That's one. Um, Second, that's more when you then go into the breaks. Everybody is really keen to learn. There is a real appetite
Mhm.
for learning, both from the
Yeah.
learner and the educator. Um, And then third, actually a lack of resources. So many
Yeah.
classrooms were still, I
Don't
mean,
even
old
have
fashioned is
pencils,
yeah,
pens, the
they're
basic
working with,
things are
pen
not
and
there.
pencils, maybe. There
Mm,
is, when you walk into a classroom here in the UK, many have, smart boards, the kids
yeah,
all work on tablets. um, there is such a discrepancy in the way you then learn. You might still learn the same content, but again, when it comes to the world of work, things are much more digital, but yet the classrooms, particularly in those rural areas, are still, how we had them here, decades ago. So
yeah, yeah.
that also creates a divide.
Yeah. Now, radical collaboration. 180,000 learners in weeks. I mean, that just blows my mind. Powered by partnerships. What's your secret sauce for building trust and movement across borders, cultures, and infrastructures?
One word: communication.
Mm,
I mean, having physically been in the country helps, of course, as well. Understanding a bit about how people do. I'm not saying I went to the whole country. I stick only to Nairobi at the time. I love to, of course, expand further. But at least having been there once helps understand a little bit more about how people think, how people react, what sort of the mindset is. But then I
yes,
think it's very clear and open communication. What do we expect from you? What can you expect from me? And almost, I'm not saying setting ground rules, but it almost in an informal way do that and
yeah,
have regular meetings, regular catch ups. Sometimes people say to me, "Oh, are you having all these meetings again?" Yes, but that's what relationship building looks like. It's not a one meeting. Oh, you have 2,000 learners. Great. They can go through the program. Thanks. Bye. No, not at all. That's not
yeah,
how what we do. We are in here for the long term. And yes, for now we're serving them with our AI literacy program. But if that organization then after this program is completed says, well, actually we really want to do something about, I don't know, sustainability or about farming or about fashion design, because a lot of our learners, want to go into that area. Can we do
yeah,
something together? Yes, let's do it together. And if that
yeah,
requires applying for funding together, let's do that. So it's we're in here for the long run. And I think that just means you have to invest your time and resources into that as well.
yeah. I love that. Now, ethics, equity in AI education. How do you ensure that OIAI remains ethical, unbiased, and culturally inclusive when it's deployed across so many different diverse learning environments?
Well, that is something that is an ongoing process. So it's
Mm,
not something you can do once, right? It's very important to us that we keep to that. So we have our flags and checks in place in terms of what the AI response. So of course the team looks into that and see if that can be further optimized. Of course, it works
mhm.
offline, so it's already very accessible. Um, so of course, keeping optimizing that and seeing, because not every device is the same. So trying to spread to as many devices as possible. So that requires some testing from our side as well, and giving the options to the learners themselves. So we can provide them with a variety of, let's say, different avatars, but then they can choose. They want
Yeah,
this avatar or this voice. They want the avatar to speak slower or to speak faster. They
yeah,
want the font size to be bigger or smaller. The
wow,
background can change. Anything is personalized. So it's not just the avatar that is localized to the country and the area that we're in,
yeah,
but the entire design you can choose. So you like to see things with a red background. Great, if that helps you learn. So
yeah,
also giving the opportunity to those who learn to make it as much as possible to how they like to learn
yeah,
is very
and
important, and
experience.
keeping that dialogue with them. What else could we do? So again, there is also a way that you need to interact with the users themselves to understand what is missing. What have we not thought about? Because in the end, we're also only humans, right? We may
Yeah.
have forgotten certain things.
Oh, I love it. So, what's one misconception about AI in education that you often find yourself challenging in public conversations?
That AI is the same as ChatGPT,
Mm,
and
mm,
we know it's not at all. So
yeah,
that's one thing that often sort of needs to be broken down in conversations. The other
yeah,
one I think I mentioned is that you're going to take my job away. No, let's
yes,
work together in
yeah,
parallel. Yeah. And the other one that's about, I don't trust in AI because it's going to take my data and my content. And
Yes.
maybe some AI tools do that, but as I mentioned before, that's not what we do. We're not training on the user's data. And actually, when educators upload their own content, which they can as well, when we work with governments and they have the national curricula, the AI can create the lessons based on that. But again, we're not training on the content that they have given. So your content stays with you.
I love that. Yeah, and there's this whole misconception that the thing to remember is that AI is here, it's here to stay. It's leapfrogging so fast, unless you get on the boat, you're going to get left behind. Now, your vision for 2030, if your mission is successful, how does the future of learning look like for a child in a remote or underserviced community?
I think it would open up their world with many more possibilities that is currently
Mhm.
possible. So
Yeah.
they also see a future. They may have dreams at the moment, but often these dreams cannot become a reality. So I
Mhm.
hope through the work that what we do, many more dreams will become a reality.
And the world is very flat now because of this access to technology and the internet, right? You
Yes.
can be anywhere, get remote work, and earn a decent living, but you need the knowledge and the skills to be able to access those opportunities. So, what advice would you give to the future female founders, to the next generation of young women who want to lead in science, tech, or social impact?
I would say don't wait for permission.
Hmm.
Often we see that people are waiting to get some sort of approval or permission to take the next step.
Yeah.
Build up your skills, trust your perspectives, don't doubt yourself, and also surround yourself with mentors and allies. Right? You
Yeah.
don't you don't need to fit in the ways that society thinks you need to fit in this mold that someone has created. No, no,
Mm,
bring yourself, your full self into the work you do, because your own perspectives, which are unique to you, brings a variety and diversity of thought, leadership, and I think that's what tech needs to solve real problems. So you
mm.
can do it.
Last two questions are a bit of a thought experiment. In the first one, I'm going to teleport you back to the younger you, the young woman who in 2020 thought, this is a brilliant idea. I'm going to go for this and see what happens. If you could go back and give yourself three nuggets of wisdom based on what life has taught you up until this point, what would those three nuggets of wisdom be?
Wow, three. I can think of one already, which is, well, just ship and see what happens. And that's something later on we started to do, but basically just try it out and see what people think. The worst thing they can say is, I really hate it. This is a really bad product. Well, then you know that too. So don't keep staying in the lab to make it perfect, but just go with it because people will love it and you'll get lots of feedback. That would be the first one. The second, probably surround myself earlier on with mentors and or coaches that I can bounce ideas off, which is something I do now, but I didn't do from the beginning, which I think is really powerful to talk to people outside your own organization who can challenge you and who you can have those brainstorming sessions with. And I'm not sure about the third one.
I love it. It's always in hindsight when you realize that you could have done things slightly differently, right? Now I'm going to teleport you into the future, and we are going to go and meet the 90-year-old you. And she's sitting in her rocking chair, surrounded by her children, her grandchildren, whoever's with you at the end. If you could go and meet this wise woman who has led you up until that point, what will you say to her when you finally meet her? And I'll tell you why I like to ask women this question before you answer. A lot of women don't realize that the wise woman is already in us. We look outside of ourselves for answers, for solutions, but we are born with all of the knowings for the things that we are going to create in our lives. And you trusted something in you that made you step up and create this amazing platform, and now you're affecting millions and millions of children around the world. So, what will you say to your wise woman when you finally meet her?
Wow, that is a difficult question. I think I'd probably say, well done. Great to see the impact that you've made, and hope through the work that you've done inspired many young women and underrepresented leaders to really step into science and technology and see what that has led them to do and celebrate those moments together.
Absolutely beautiful. Yeah, I think you will thank her, and you will have millions of children thanking you as well for your work. Thank you so much, Dr. Ottoman, for coming online and sharing your incredible story with us today. Absolutely inspiring. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
And thank you to everybody who tuned in. So we end the HerStory Summit 2025 on a bang, with science and technology meeting education. If you are inspired and you want to leverage and learn something new, please follow Dr. Ottoman online. She is on LinkedIn. You will find her all over the internet. Don't be afraid. Don't be a perfectionist. Just trust yourself and give things a try. So I will be back again with the next online summit later in the year. But for now, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world. And thank you again for this presentation. Bye for now, everybody.